Restaurant owners are fighting back. President Biden once again told these restaurant owners at a town hall this week, the solution to all your problems is just throwing more money at it, baby. All you have to do is pay more and more and more to these workers, and that will magically solve all of your problems. Now, of course, that's a small-brained, simplistic way to look at this, and the restaurant owners are tired of hearing this from a guy, President Biden, who has never run a business in his life. Here's one of them in New York talking about what it's like to try to hire people when you're competing with the federal government.
If you want that to stop, you need to stop unemployment so people can go back to work. That's what life is all about. You can, in life, if you don't work, you cannot have freebies. You understand? If you come back to work, you're gonna make money. The way that the system has become right now is you stay home and you get paid. Who wants to go back to work? Even if you increase the minimum wage, which they already did, to something even more, nobody's gonna come back. If unemployment stops, that's when the money's going to get, people are going to want to go back to work and everything.
He's telling truths right here. He's saying the reason why so many people are discouraged from seeking out any work right now is because they're making money sitting at home. Many of them in these states where they still have the federal unemployment benefits, the add-ons to the regular unemployment that you get. And there's no real pressures to get out and get another job. So what if you take the minimum wage and you bring it from 15 to 20 to whatever? You're only taking the ground floor and rising it up. And he's saying he's having to do it all in his own restaurant. And if he has to continue doing that, well, that's a shame, but he's not going to be able to hire other people because they're just not willing to work.
That's the truth. A lot of people don't want to hear that.
A lot of people don't want to hear it.
Oh, forget about it. We had the whole thing. But we're here. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
I saved it. Now it's time to rebuild it.
You're trying to hire more people?
Yes. When the time comes and everything, it's still not where it's supposed to be. My goal is hopefully back in September, we can start hiring more people and get the ball rolling again and go back to normal.
Are you worried about having to compete against unemployment benefits?
When the time comes, we'll probably end up seeing, if I have to do it by myself the way that I have been doing it, I'm going to do it.
So he said, if I have to do it by myself, I'll end up doing it by myself, and I won't be able to hire these extra people. And they're not really just lining up around the block to do this to begin with. This all started after President Biden had this back and forth with the owner and co-founder of a restaurant group by the name of John Lanai. Here's what he said.
We employ hundreds of hardworking team members throughout the state of Ohio and across the country, and we're looking to hire more every day as we try to restart our restaurant business. The entire industry, amongst other industries, continue to struggle to find employees. How do you and the Biden administration plan to incentivize those that haven't returned to work yet? Hiring is our top priority right now.
Now, one of the first things the president does is he attempts to take credit for all the PPP loans that did save restaurants. But he completely ignores the fact that because of the pandemic and because of rules in states across the country, these restaurants were particularly targeted to shut down, which led to the collapse of thousands and thousands and thousands of restaurants across the country. People's life dreams squashed just like that.
Well, two things. One, if you notice, we kept you open. We spent billions of dollars to make sure restaurants could stay open.
So Biden continues, after taking credit for that, to suggest you need a little scolding here. Once again, a person who's never run a restaurant or a business in his life. He's been in the political field, and he's going to tell them how to do things. Here is the president talking to this guy.
But secondly, John, my guess is that people being $7, $8 an hour plus tips, that's, I think, John, you're going to be finding $15 an hour or more now. But you may pay.
So he had to stop right there because he realized you're paying him $7, $8 an hour. He does pay them $15 an hour. Like so many other business owners I know and restaurant owners, they're throwing money out there. They're saying we'll give you $15 an hour, and they still have issues with this because most of these folks who end up being low-skilled workers are getting that extra cash. So what's really going on out there? Let me know what you think in the comments. Who's to blame here? Is it the restaurant owners? Is Biden right? Should they just pay more and more and more until, I don't know, everybody's fists are just so full with cash, we're all happy? Or is it a bigger problem? Is it the extra money from the federal government that is subsidizing these people? They say exclusive. Do you want to pay $50 for a hamburger, Joe? Furious restaurant owners vented Biden for telling them to raise wages, which they say will lead to more inflation and drive them all out of business. And these folks are stepping up and letting their word be heard today. And it seems impossible to deny. If you push all these restaurants to say offer more and more and more money to these people now that they're competing with the federal government, the marketplace is no longer fair. And then your cost per employee and your overall, when this is already expensive, the wages that you have to pay all of your employees become such a big budgetary drain. Then all of the prices on the menu have to go up. And therein lies the inflation problem that we're already seeing, and this will make it even worse. Restaurant owners are saying to Congress, we need more stimulus dollars. Restaurants across the country are reopening dining rooms and welcoming back guests once again as more Americans get their vaccine. But many who survived the pandemic say they will not last much longer unless Congress steps in to help by replenishing the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, the RRF. Meanwhile, unemployment benefits claims unexpectedly, I love when they use that word, they unexpectedly rose last week. I'm sure someone expected it. They say on CNN Business, claims for U.S. jobless benefits unexpectedly jumped last week, offering the latest reminder that the American economy and labor market are not yet back to normal. Weekly jobless claims stood at 419,000, adjusted for seasonal swings. That climbed more than 50,000 and exceeded economists' expectations. The disappointing figure is the highest claims level since mid-May, they say. When they kept thinking it would get better and better and better, it doesn't seem to be getting better and better and better. Meanwhile, over on CNBC, they say state governors, largely Republicans, said the federal funds were keeping recipients from looking for jobs, making it harder for businesses to hire and holding back the economic recovery. However, Census Bureau data suggests recipients didn't rush to find jobs in the weeks following the first batch of state withdrawals, according to an economics professor at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Specifically, the share of adults receiving unemployment benefits fell sharply by 2.2 points in the dozen states that cut the federal funding. That's a 60% reduction in unemployment rolls in those states. So the money that they're paying in unemployment dropped 60% in the states that decided to stop with the federal added benefits for unemployed people. But they say there wasn't a corresponding increase in employment among this group. In fact, the share of adults with a job fell by 1.4 percentage points. Let me simplify this for you. They're saying, yes, the states who stopped the federal funding and the extra benefits did have a massive drop in the unemployment claims that were being filed, but more people didn't get jobs. I think that problem will sort itself out over time. If you don't have this, you've got to get this. And if you're not getting it from the federal government or the state government, you have to get a job. And now the job market's competitive, and that's great because these people who haven't been employed for a while or who are used to working at these jobs where they haven't been respected can find a great spot and an employer who really does appreciate the work that they put in. It's really, really unfortunate, and we're seeing some dramatically bad numbers. U.S. jobless claims rise to 419,000 from a pandemic low. But Biden keeps saying to people like this, just pay them more without thinking about what the impacts are that will have. When you raise minimum wage and continue to raise minimum wage with no end in sight, when you start to pretend like there's no such thing as entry-level jobs, and this is a system where we could pay some people a little bit less as they get into the workforce and build experience, and you think that every job is supposed to be for a family of four or the breadwinner of a family of four, you end up in this spot. So how do we fix it is the claim. Do you think Biden's wrong to continue to treat restaurant owners and operators like this? People who are owning these restaurants have been called on multiple occasions essentially cheap. You're cheap and you deserve it. You're not paying your employees enough. Is that right? Or does Biden have it wrong? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd appreciate you following the page if you don't mind. If you're new here, we're on the quest to 75,000 followers on Facebook. So that's facebook.com/thenewsjunkie and hit the follow button for videos just like this every single day. Over on youtube.com/thenewsjunkie, hit subscribe. And I appreciate you watching the video as always. We'll talk to you again real soon.